Hey, what's going on? How you doing? So I got a video for you. Fast approaching 2024. So happy New Year to each and every one of you. But basically tonight starts the first of my 3 days off, and been hanging out in the cave, drinking a couple beers and listening to some music. And death metal wasn't doing it for me, and thrash metal and all that stuff just wasn't scratching that itch, and picked out one CD that started this chain of listening to some 90s metal. I'm going to show some of my favorite 90s metal albums, or 90s heavy metal. Some of it, of course, is progressive metal, and maybe some of it's just typical heavy metal, and there's some post-glam and different, maybe some power metal there. So 90s, I love the sound of 80s and 90s, how they recorded stuff back then sounded so awesome. And that kind of brings me to 2023. I don't pick up too many new releases, to be honest with you. I don't like the production of stuff nowadays. And Dennis pretty much hit the nail on the head with what he was saying in his video last night. But as a musician, you know, I like the sound of tube amps on the guitars and mic cabinets and just organic sounding drums. I like everything separated. Sounds like nowadays most of the stuff is overproduced. I'm not sure how they do the guitars, but it sounds like they just plug into a computer program instead of mic in a cabinet. And that kind of bothers me with some of the newer releases. And they just layer the guitars so much that it almost drowns out everything else. So that's where I'm at with that. And that's pretty much why I decided to shoot this video, because in the 90s it seemed like they went down this road where they were trying to reflect what they were doing in the 80s and 70s. And a lot of these albums kind of have that 90s sound, but with some stuff they were doing back then. So anyway, top 10 90s heavy metal albums. I'll just put it that way. Let's get on with this video. What kicked it off was this. Dream Theater's Awake, which I love. Images and Words, and the album before that, I can't remember the name of it. I don't have it, but this album right here is my favorite Dream Theater album, and Images and Words is so damn good too. But my God, this one is awesome. So released in 1994 on EW Records, I believe. I bought this CD back then and played the crap out of it. It's one of my favorite progressive rock albums of all time. And the album starts off with 6 o'clock, and I love the synth work in it. Almost has that super trampy 70s sound to it, but it still has a heavy punch to it, and the vocals are just simply amazing. Favorite track on this actually is Mirror, because it's so heavy. I love the off time sound they got going in it with the kick drum and that heavy ass guitar, and those keyboards that come and sway in there, and those fucking vocals that have so much emotion in it. Just amazing track. And then Space Divest is another good one, that closer on the album with that piano work, and how they kind of have some kind of samples in the background, and just very emotional track, and just an amazing album. So in 1994, my friends and I picked this up. Actually, I bought this CD, and was all hanging out, driving around the back roads, I guess, in Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri, because we live right at that point where all 3 states join. And every time I hear that album, it reminds me of that day. I think, of course, we were smoking some wacky weed, drinking some beer. We shouldn't have been driving, but we're teenagers. We didn't know any better. Actually, I would have been in my early 20s. And my friends would have been too. So we was in our 20s when jamming out to this bad boy right here. Absolutely amazing album, in my opinion. One of the best in the 90s, other than the death metal stuff that was coming out and the thrash metal. Just the pure, I guess, progressive power heavy metal, I guess is what this is. Amazing album. I'm not going to say check it out. You should know this one. But if you don't, I will post a link in the description below. I'll just put my favorite track on it, which is Mirror. So look at that artwork. Amazing. What an amazing album. Dream Theater, Awake. This one, released in 1991, I want to say, which I've shown on this channel before. Sabotage Streets, a rock opera, which is a concept album. I think it's about a drug dealer named DT Jesus. I think that's what it's about. But just an amazing album. The title track, Streets, I love everything about that track, and then it goes into Jesus Saves, and that has this hooky freaking riff with these really cool keyboards. The vocalist on this, of course, John Olivia, is amazing. Chris Olivia's last album, I believe, too. No, wait, he did, his last album was actually Edge of Thorns, one after this one, but that would have been John's last album. At vocals would have been this one. Killer concept album. I always loved that guitar. And I actually should have bought this on vinyl. This is the only copy I have ever owned of it. This is cassette, because when I went to go pick it up, I was going to pick it up on CD, but they didn't have any on CD, so I just grabbed this cassette, and this is pretty much all I had. This one's on Atlantic. Awesome album. Act 1 and Act 2, freaking banger all the way through. Streets by Sabotage, 1991. Another cassette I'll put out in that vein, Fate's Warning, Inside Out. I think this was released in 93. This is, of course, OG Press too. I don't think it matters, but an album I don't see many people talk about. I think this one is fantastic. It's progressive power metal. Has a little bit of what I was saying on those, but this is an amazing album. Killer guitar work in it, killer vocals. Brings me back to the 90s every time I see pictures like that. 90s, you know, of course, got sucked in with the grunge and the new metal. But in between the cracks, albums like this was freaking amazing. So, Fate's Warning. And I remember listening to this album for the first time. I was blown away by it. Just blown away by it. I'd say my favorite track is Down to the Wind. I think that's it. Or Down to the Wine, I should say. Down to the Wire. Damn, I need to get freaking glasses. But that song's awesome. Afterglow is a killer one. Man, I can't see those song titles, so I'm not going to try to say it. Killer album. Just take my word for it. This is a killer freaking album. Inside Out by Fate's Warning. Amazing one. Of course, this one I've talked about several times. Control Denied. Had it upside down for a minute. Well, now I have it upside down. God damn it, Steve. There you go. This is The Fragile Art of Existence, and we all know Chuck Schuldiner. It's his brainchild. That it's pretty much a power metal album, progressive power metal, freaking amazing stuff. Amazing drum work, because it's got Richard Christie in it. Amazing bass work, of course. It's got Steve Giorgio. Basically, the three guys that were on Sound of Perseverance of Chuck. Everybody should know the story on this album, but my goodness, this one. What If is my favorite track on it, and the title track, The Fragile Art of Existence, which feels like the part 2 to The Sound of Perseverance, which they go hand in hand. This is a Relapse, I believe. I'm not sure what pressing it is, but it has, I'm assuming it's pressing 2. or it's a later pressing. It's not a first pressing because it's got disc 2, has all the demo tracks on it. But this album, when it first came out, was a constant spin. Tim Amar is the vocalist, and his vocals are freaking awesome. The other guitarist is, let me see here, Shannon Ham. So, just absolutely amazing album. Every time I listen to this piece of art, it makes me think of Chuck. I don't know him personally, but of course, I'm a huge Death fan, obviously, so anything that he put out musically was gold to me. And this is another one of those gold albums. Amazing album, which everybody should know this one. So, Control Denied, The Fragile Art of Existence, one of my favorites from the 90s. Another one, this one is a solo project that blew me away when it came out. I think it was released in 97, but Glen Tipton's Baptism in Fire. I'm not sure who the vocalist is on it. The vocals are okay. They're not the greatest, but they're still okay. But the guitar work in this is freaking amazing, especially on the title track, which is an instrumental, Baptism in Fire. Look up guitar solo covers of that. It's amazing guitar work. I actually haven't seen a Glen Tipton version playing it, but I love watching the covers of people playing the title track on this. Another one, I liked the Rolling Stones cover on this, Painted Black. I think they did it really good. Hardcore is a great song. Cruise Control, Kill or Be Killed. Voodoo Brother, Left for Dead. Amazing solo album. But I like his guitar tone on this. It takes a little bit of Painkiller and a little bit of Jugulator. Best of both worlds, to be honest with you. Just amazing to me. But I love guitar work in anything that Glen Tipton did, of course. So, Judas Priest fan. Amazing album. If I could see the vocalist's name. Oh, well, they had several different guys do stuff on this, but amazing stuff. Definitely look this one up if you missed it. If you like killer guitar work, this is the album for you. Glen Tipton, Baptism in Fire. Amazing stuff. This is on Atlantic Records as well. A couple of these might make people sneer, but this one was released in 1992. Some post-glam stuff. Steel Hearts, Tangled in Rains, which their first debut album is freaking amazing, simply put. But this album blows that one out of the water, in my opinion. This one, the production on this is amazing. The drums just hit so damn hard. The guitar solos are freaking awesome. But the vocals in this, which I could never pronounce his name, so I'm not going to even try. His vocals are probably the best in this genre right here. Really love his vocals. He could hit some high notes on this thing like you would not believe. The vocalist actually, if you haven't heard of Steelheart, you probably heard the vocalist before, which if you watch the movie Rockstar, especially that scene where Mark Wahlberg is trying out for Steel Dragon, that track that he's doing his audition to is the vocalist, is actually the vocalist from this. So you've heard his vocals before, freaking amazing stuff. But my favorite tracks on this is every one of them. Loaded Mother, or Mother. I love the Led Zeppelin approach they did with the vocals and the way they did the music to it. Amazing stuff. Sticky Side Up, it's just a good hard rock, glam metal freaking track. Electric Love Child, the guitar solo in that freaking blows me away every time. Also, the title, actually, it's not the title track. They have a track called Still Hard on this that it's a pretty ripping song. And then I'd argue during the chorus, the double bass the drummer's doing in that makes it sound really thrashy. Killer freaking album. And I love that artwork. It's so 90s. But definitely a good one. If you're looking for something that it's kind of a pick-me-up album, it puts me in a better mood every time I hear it. I typically only listen to this album during the summer, and I haven't listened to it in a while. Probably last couple of weeks I've been listening to this one a lot more. But fantastic one. Still Hearts. Tangled in Rains. Next one up, John Bush stuff. Some Armored Saint. What is this one called? Symbol of Salvation. This is a cool freaking just straight up heavy metal album or hard rock album. Released in 1991. When this came out, I listened to it several times. But Rain of Fire is my favorite track. There's another one. The Truth Always Hurts is another good one. But I simply love John Bush's vocals on this. And then I think he did The Sound of White Noise with Anthrax after this one. But this is absolutely fantastic gem. I love all their stuff, but this album is probably one of my favorites by them on Metal Blade Records. I was corrected. I think I showed this before, and I thought this was the first pressing, but it turns out it's probably a second pressing. Somebody commented, said that the disc on the first pressing is silver. I said, oh, well, thank you for the information. But yeah, this is a simply killer 90s heavy metal. Simply put. Phil. I thought that said Pete Sandoval for a minute. I was like, there's no way Pete Sandoval. That says Phil Sandoval. But this is an amazing album. Definitely look this one up if you want to hear just some killer freaking heavy metals from the 90s that doesn't have anything but killer stuff. Armored Saint, Symbol of Salvation. What an awesome album. This one might perk some ears, but 1993, Vince Neil released his solo project, Exposed album. And this is more Motley Crue than Motley Crue was in the 90s, to be honest with you. Be brutally frank, this album freaking rips. Stevie Stevens is the guitarist on it, and he does some awesome freaking guitar work on this. Favorite tracks are definitely Look Into Her Eyes, or Look in Her Eyes. Yeah, Look in Her Eyes. The opening track is freaking awesome. But my favorite track on this is The Edge. And it starts off with some awesome flamingo-style guitar work that Stevie Stevens is doing. And it goes into a really, actually, it's a pretty dark track. Sounds pretty evil, to be honest with you. Every song on this is awesome. Even the song played on Encino Man, which is You're Invited But Your Friend Can't Come. But this is killer stuff. Killer freaking album that you wouldn't think I'd have in my collection, but I love this thing. Yeah, of course, there's Steve Stevens. I think a couple members are from Damn Yankees. I can't remember who. Robbie Crane is on the bass there. Vic Fox on drums. And rhythm guitarist is Dave Marshall. But this album, I think it got buried because it wasn't promoted very well. And it's just a hidden gem from the 90s. And it's definitely a killer glam heavy metal album that definitely look up if you feel so inclined. That's killer stuff. Definitely look up the track The Edge if you're kind of skeptical. That's the song. Then, of course, 1992, Faith No More, Angel Dust. Spend a lot of nights listening to this, especially on road trips. It takes me back to summertime a lot. Tonight I listened to it, and my goodness, the song Caffeine, I love that track. A Small Victory is a good one. Midlife Crisis, that is awesome, because it kind of, this album to me is like Faith No More meets Mr. Bungle, and that, of course, Mike Patton brings out element into this, but that's what it reminds me of. And there's one heavy ass track. I love the way they recorded it. It sounds really good. The drums sound freaking perfect. And I don't remember what track that is. Crack Hitler, I think. But this is a good freaking album. I know some people talked about this before, but it's nothing new to a lot of people. But in the 90s, when this album came out, it was a constant spin, and I was happy to revisit it tonight. There's not much on that side. There's a picture of the band. Of course, everybody knows that this guy was in the band with Cliff Burton before Metallica. Forgot the name of that band, but cool stuff. Faith No More, and what a fantastic album, Angel Dust. And then the last one I'm going to show you, another 91, was this. And this one was, I love the Great Radio Controversy, and was it Mechanical Resonance, whatever that one was called. But out of all those, this one was my favorite one. Psychotic Supper by Tesla. Just good old-fashioned kind of bluesy heavy metal, I guess. There's some kind of 70s, 60s stuff, I guess, in this. But I love the guitar work in this one a lot, especially some of the acoustic stuff on What You Give. I like that track a lot. And there's another one on here. But favorite tracks on this is Man Out of Time, or Edison's Medicine. Song and Emotion, the one they dedicated to Stephen Clark of Def Leppard after he passed away. And Don't De-Rock Me. I really love Don't De-Rock Me on this album. I love the solo section where you have a drum solo in it. You have guitar solos that are just trading back and forth. Some of those solos they even play a Judas Priest Painkiller sounding guitar solo on it. But this is another killer album from the 90s that I loved a lot. That's not part of the grunge scene, and I guess it was it 91 when this was released? I'm losing my voice, but I'm pretty sure it was. This is on Geffen Records too. Love that artwork. This is the only copy I've ever had of this. Actually, all my Tesla is only on cassette. So one of these days, I probably should show all those. But what an awesome album. So that's my video. I hope you guys enjoy it. I know this is not music that everybody likes, but I know there's some people who do like those albums. And I don't know. Hope you like it. May show some more of those, depending on how well this video does. You all have an awesome night. This night here, but just have an awesome night, awesome day. Be careful out there. Be safe. Later all.